Hi, my name is Ching and welcome back to Data Structures in C++. In the last lecture, we've been mostly focusing on pointers and how to create variables in the stack and in the heap. We learned how to delete variables from the heap and a little bit about 2D arrays. We know C++ is also an object-oriented language. So in this lecture, we will learn how to create a C++ class and how to use it in a program. Hopefully after this lecture, you will have the most basic knowledge about C++ before we start to use it in this course. There are many tools to write C++ code. Visual Studio Code is a popular one. We will learn how to set up and use Visual Studio Code for C++. At the end, I will show a hands-on demo. In C++, class specifications are generally defined in a .h file using the class name as the file name. This is also called a header file. For example, we could name this file as student.h. I assume you already have some prior knowledge about Java, so I will focus on the difference between C++ and Java. First, you use the class keyword to create a class, followed by the class name. Unlike in Java, you don't put a modifier in before the class keyword. In Java, you define most of the member variables with modifiers in front of them, such as public or private. But in C++, you can put a label and everything after that label will get that data visibility until there's another label. To stay compatible with C++ classes are the same as structs, except the default visibility. We often use them interchangeably. There's another difference between C++ and Java. Java, you must implement the function when you define it. But in C++, you can just specify the prototypes of the functions and then implement them in a separate file. Separating the class specification and the implementation is the preferred way to organize C++ files. Lastly, don't forget the semicolon at the end of the curly brackets. For each member function, the return type, function name, and parameter types are together called the function prototype. Sometimes it is also called the function signature, but there's a slight difference depending on the context. After we've defined a class in the header file, we will implement its member functions in a separate file. For the implementation file, it is typically named by using the same class name, followed by a .cpp. So this file is going to be student.cpp. Here we include the header file, and we use double quotes because we want the compiler to look in the current folder. Otherwise, the compiler is going to look in the system path, such as for the I/O stream. Then we implement the default constructor. First, you specify where the function comes from, in this case, the student class. You put 2 colons after the class name. After that, you specify the function signature. Other than the default constructor, you have a general constructor, which passes in some parameters. Here's the special syntax to initialize the member variables using the parameters. We can use the name of the member variable followed by parentheses and the parameter name. This code initializes the member variables before the body of the function, which is inside the curly brackets. Here's the destructor, which gets called when the object is destroyed. It is the place where the allocated memory in the heap should be released. In this example, we don't allocate any memory in the heap, so we simply show a message if an object is getting destroyed. Here we implement a member function which has a return data type. This example, it doesn't return anything, so the data type is void. Please note that every function's prototype must match the ones in the header file. Now we can start using our class after we have the .h file and the .cpp file. We call this the class client. We name it the client name. and then a .cpp at the end. In a very simple case, we just call it main.cpp because it includes the main function. First, you'll include the header file using the double quotes. Then you can create an automatic variable and access its member functions. Alternatively, you can also create a dynamic variable and use the arrow sign to access its member variables and functions. So now we've created 3 files: the header file, the implementation file, and the client file. Now we are ready to put those files to work. We will use Visual Studio Code, or VS Code, as the Integrated Development Environment, or IDE. You can think of VS Code as an editor or a graphical user interface, but it cannot build and debug C++ code by itself. To make it work for C++, we need to install and set up a few more things. First, we need the C++ compiler to the actual work. There are quite a few C++ compilers available. We choose G++ because it is small, free, and available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. Please note G++ is just a compiler. It is totally independent of Visual Studio Code. To make Visual Studio Code work with G++, we need the C++ extensions. With that, it will be a lot easier to edit, build, and debug C++ code inside VS Code. As an easy shortcut, we will show how to use the Code Runner to compile the code and run the program with just one click. Let's do it. Okay, so let's install VS Code. And let's download it. So I'm using a Windows system, so I'm going to download the Windows version. Okay. Okay, so say I accept the agreement. Okay. So wait until it's done. Okay, so I installed Visual Studio Code. Now wait for it to launch. Okay. So I'm going to open the project we've been explaining. Has these files. Okay. So it'll say, do you want to install the recommended extensions for C++? So let's install that. Okay. Now let's scroll down to here and we'll click on MinGW. It should bring up this window. So we installed Visual Studio Code and we have the extension. So now we'll have to download MinGW. So you click on it when it's done. Okay, say yes. And you pick the 64-bit one. And then you say, you can choose whatever folder, but I'm just going to say MinGW64. So after you download it, after you installed that, it'll take a long time, but after you've done that, we have to do something. So let's set the environment variable. So click on the path down here, and you say edit. Let's create a new one. So let's browse and see MinGW bin. Click on this bin right here. Okay, that should be it. Let's first see how to compile multiple C++ files. We first put the header file, the implementation file, and the client file in one folder. Here we have three files, the student.h, the student.cpp, and the main.cpp. They all sit in one folder. The folder name is usually the project name. Then to configure VS Code to work with the G++ compiler and debugger, you need to customize the tasks.json and the launch.json files. VS Code can generate the default JSON files for you by going to Run and then clicking on Start Debugging. You need to select GDB as the debugger. So ignore any error message since we will configure that next. You can see both tasks.json and launch.json in the .vs Code folder. Let's try it. So first we have to make sure that the G++ was installed correctly. So open a command window and say G++. If it shows something similar to this, then that means it's installed correctly. So let's configure tasks.json. No, let's first create the task.json and the launch.json. Okay. So we have those files ready. Now we need to tell VS Code how to compile our project. This is specified in tasks.json file. There are a few things you need to customize. Instead of a single file, we use star.cpp to compile all the CPP files in this folder. And we hardcode myprogram.exe as the compiled program. Pay attention to those two items you need to customize. Now VS Code should know how to compile your project. Let's try it. Go to the tasks.json. Change this to Let's turn on autosave to make it easier to make this work. So let's change the CWD to the workspace. Okay. So that looks good. Let's try to compile it. Go to terminal, run build task. Okay. Now let's open the terminal again. Let's change this to the command prompt. Let's open the terminal again. And let's say myprogram.exe. So that runs the code. So this task.json is configured correctly. Compilation only makes sure the files are valid C++ code. Cannot tell whether the code is doing what it's supposed to. To inspect what's going on step by step inside the code, we need to set up a debugger. The debugger is specified in the launch.json file. There's only one thing to configure here. since we hard-coded the myprogram.exe file as the output program. So we will debug the same file. Let's try it. So inside the launch.json file, we'll change this to workspace my program. Okay, that looks good. So let's put a breakpoint here and we'll start debugging. Okay, so here we can see the name and the SID. So it looks good. Let's stop it. Now we know how to build and debug the code, but most of the time we just need to build it and run it. We can use the Code Runner to build and run it with just one click. First, we install Code Runner as the VS Code extension. Then we go to Preferences and then to Settings. Search for Executor Map in the text box. You should see this link right here. When you click on that, you should see a file called settings.json. Scroll down to find the label that says CPP. Change the text next to the label. It should look like this when you are done. These commands are going to make it so that the compiler compiles all the CPP files and builds one exe file to run. The Code Runner adds a triangle button at the right top corner of the editor. Let's try it. First, we'll install the Code Runner extension. So select the first one and install. Okay, that should be installed. So let's open our main.cpp file. Now we have this triangle button, but it's not configured correctly. Let's go to Preferences, Settings. Search for Executor and we have the settings.json file. So let's edit this. So this should be my program.exe. And then we type start.cpp. Pretty sure you can just put this at the front, but I prefer it at the back of my program. This looks good, so let's close that and we'll run it. So, yes, okay, we have it here. But the output is read-only, so let's change it. File, settings, and search for run in terminal. Click this checkbox, and that should do it. This should run in the terminal tab now. Okay, that looks good. Okay, that's it. Have fun and happy coding. Bye bye.